Hey, everybody, Reverend Rob here, Tarot with an Attitude. Don't go away. I've got a special guest, somebody that got me started in tarot cards, Brigitte Miesemer of Eyes of the Dragonfly. We're going to be pulling some cards together. Don't miss it. This is Tarot with an Attitude, featuring your host, tarot consultant and spiritual medium, the Reverend Rob Lee. All right, everybody, welcome back. Bangarang to my barefoot Bangarang tribe. Welcome back. Glad everybody's here. This is Tarot with an Attitude, and I am your host, tarot consultant and spirit medium, the Reverend Rob Lee. Good to see everybody. Wow, we got a special night tonight, a special time going. I've got a very special guest that will always be near and dear to my heart. She has one that actually helped me get started in reading tarot and is the person I call when I need a reading. So check it out. And all of her information and the links to her site will be below. So we will give that out, but it's Eyes of the Dragonfly. Here we go. And welcome aboard, Miss Brigitte Miesemer. How are you?
Hey, how's it going?
It is good. Yeah, right here we would cue all the audience. So what's happening?
Just living life. That's what's happening, working, trying to work my business, my Eyes of the Dragonfly business, just trudging through.
Trudging through. So let me ask you this. We were just talking. This week we had a new moon on Tuesday. All right. Did you set any intentions or?
I did. I actually actively meditated and wrote in my journal and lit candles. I even set intentions for somebody else. So I've got a candle burning for them currently. So I've got like a 7-day candle going for them.
Yeah. So. That's interesting. Is now when you do that for somebody else, and I want everybody to pay attention because a lot of times everybody believes somebody has to do it for themselves. How do you feel you can set the intentions for somebody else as long as you know their intentions? How does that work for you?
Right. So I spoke to the person and I said, okay, they were going to be busy. So they were not going to have the opportunity to sit down and they had to work. So they were not going to have the opportunity to sit down and do what I did, which was meditate on my intentions and everything else. So I said, okay, so what intentions do you want to set forth for the new moon it's between the new moon and the full moon so that, what do you want to bring forward? And they told me the things that they wanted to bring forward. And I said, okay. So I went out and I went to my local juju store and got a candle and one that I thought best represented what they wanted in color, or maybe, and it was I had, dressed with some herbs, little crystals or whatever. And I got that and I came home and on a sticky note, I just wrote, okay, here, please acknowledge my, so-and-so's intentions for these specific things. I meditated on it a little bit and I lit the candle and I put the sticky note under the candle and there it sits. It's going to burn for 7 days and hopefully it's burning actually over here in my office very nicely. It's been a very nice clean burn, which makes me hopeful. It's only been, 24, 36 hours, however many hours.
Right.
But yeah, I did that and it's burning nice, very nice. Some of them I've done and I've had this teeny little flame and it's like, you think it's going to burn out. This one's a nice, healthy flame, not too big, not too small. It's burning nice and even. There isn't, wax stuck like to one side of the candle or anything. So so I have very high hopes for their intentions.
Good. So when you're burning a candle, setting intentions, or for whatever matter, I guess, one would burn a candle for, and we won't endorse or put anything out there. However, but when you're burning a candle, and I know we all do abundance candles, things like that, or whatnot, Do you think the size of the flame of that candle is telling you the vibration, or is it just something funky with the candle?
Um, you have to take, I have to, well, I say you, but I mean me. I take into consideration what my environment's like and what kind of effect that would have on the candle. So before I judge it, I'll look around. Is there a fan on too high close by? Is it underneath an air conditioning vent? Stuff like that. Um, but yes, short answer is yes. I do
Okay.
believe that you know the way the candle, the wax burns, the flame, how fast it burns, how slow it burns is all indicative of, for lack of a better term, the spell. How it's manifesting, how it's working, how it's getting out here into the universe. Some people look at the color of the smoke. My candle isn't producing smoke, but if it did, some people believe that black smoke means one thing, white smoke means another thing. If it's going to the north, it means one thing, to the south, it means something else. There's a lot of stuff that you can interpret into it and even put into it. Just a simple candle spell, whatever you want to call it, manifestation. I don't know what you want to call it,
All right,
but
no, that's
whatever you're comfortable with calling it. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's a ton of stuff, and there are books, like crazy books about candle. Um, I have this one, as a matter of fact. It is a book of candle magic, and in it is just pages and pages of,
wow, the big book of candle magic.
yeah,
Just
it's
a
by
book,
Jackie
but a
Smith.
big book. So if y'all
uh,
want to see what she's talking about, you can look it up. That is the actual title. The Big Book of Candle Magic by Jackie Smith, to give credit where credit's due.
Correct,
So
yeah.
take a look at it, because a lot of times I know a lot of people freak out when they hear the word magic, candles. Ooh, we're going into a dark space. And in actuality, we're really not. We're going into a very light space and trying to make something happen just through energy. And I have to remind people all the time, the
Well,
church burns candles, and
that's
they
what I was
do
going
it.
to say. I liken it to prayer. You go into any, I mean, I know that you are Southern Baptist. I was, brought up a Catholic, but you go into any Catholic church and there is a whole wall of candles where you put a donation in a bin, you light a candle, you kneel, and you say your prayer for that candle. And sometimes it's a prayer for the dead, it's a prayer for whatever you need the prayer for. And so I don't I think everything is based on intention. And
Yes.
if you go and you don't even have to light a candle. I mean, if your intentions are to not do nice things or not be genuine or to hurt people or whatever, you know that's the intention, and you can do that without a candle. You can do that without, incense or any kind of, smudge or anything like that. You could do it without crystals. You could do it without any of that stuff,
Right.
and just set a bad intention towards yourself or anybody else.
Right. So when you're doing tarot, and I know I want to get into this, we were talking about, I just got off on a topic that I just find very, very exciting in the candles and different things like that. But when we're doing tarot, like you said an intention candle. I want to make sure people understand the new moon that just came in. I think a lot of times they get it backwards. Where the new moon, you're supposed to bring stuff in. It's like the cup's empty. So it's time to fill it up. And the full moon is time to let stuff go because it's emptying out. You agree with that?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. At your new moon, you're exactly as you said, you're filling the cup up. So at the full moon, it's full. There's no more room left to put into it. So now you're going to set the intention to manifest, to let go the things that no longer serve your highest good, whatever they could be anything, whatever those may be, you know. And then you're emptying out that full cup again in order for the new moon to come along and fill it back up.
And that's I want a lot of people to make sure they understand that. I hear a lot of people kind of get it confused and backwards, but that's the way it goes. And this can be done whether you're on a new moon, full moon, you know, no moon, any moon, it doesn't matter. You can, your intention's the energy, but that moon and driving and having different things to focus on helps us. Just like we said with the church, with especially the Catholic Church. You know, if you've ever been to a funeral, there's the incense, there's the waving, there's pendulums, there's crystals, you know, and even in the Bible, the Levites, who were the priests for the Jewish people, had 12 different crystals across their chest plate that God told them to use. So I say this all the time. Don't tell me we weren't meant to use crystals and these type of things when they are embedded in a lot of our religious rituals, rites, and things, even from the Bible. So let me ask you this. When you're running tarot, do you make it a point? Do you necessarily use candles when you're doing a tarot reading, or is it only when it speaks to you to do so?
I am not in the habit of using candles. I may light a candle and keep it at my table or my desk or my altar or whatever you want to call it.
Right,
But that's for me. That's not for you when I'm reading for you. That's for me so that my intention to bring out whatever is what you need to hear for your highest good is comes in. It could be a point of focus for me to help me connect and get into more of a meditative state, sort of like that here between area when you're reading. If you don't read cards, I don't know if you'd understand what I'm saying, but I know you understand what I'm saying.
yeah,
In that you're here and you're present, but you're also sort of here and present also. So it's a strange dynamic, and unless you experience it, I have no way of articulating it other than that.
right,
Um, but sometimes it helps me because the flame gives me something to focus on, to especially when I'm in like a convention where
right.
there's 100 people around me, so I need to sort of disconnect from all that noise and focus on you in front of me. And sometimes the way that I do that is just like, and just
Yeah,
sort of put it all out. But as a rule, no, I don't usually get the urge to say, well, Rob needs me to light a candle. But sometimes crystals, I
yep,
will have, I will grab a crystal and say, I don't, I feel like you need this in this reading. And I'll just keep it next to me as I'm reading the cards. I usually keep a quartz and a tourmaline for protection, just so that, we're ensuring that it's all good juju. And yeah, I mean, but as far as a candle, those are for my benefit
right.
specifically. That's not for anybody else's. Not during a tarot reading.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. So when you do a reading for yourself, I know like when you've done readings for me or whatnot, sometimes we would do them all, a lot of times because we were always like an hour away from each other. You did them on the phone, things like that. But we always took a minute. Do you find it necessary to stop and kind of before you, or do you just start flipping cards? And do you find it necessary to kind of set your mind in a certain place, or do you feel like you can just pick up the cards and go? How does that vary for you?
I usually have to talk to you for a little bit. And you know this, you see me do it. I'll talk and shuffle and talk and shuffle and talk and shuffle until I'm like, okay, we're good to go. Um, yeah, I do have to take that beat. Sometimes in the middle of the reading, I have to say, hey, give me a second to just refocus on these and make sure that, you know, I understand what the message is. So that I'm not giving you bad information or misinformation. Um, Again, especially if there's a lot of stuff going on around me, I, you know, ADD, you know, squirrel. So I have to, you know, just, you know, recenter, refocus.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, no, Sunday I actually did a lovely lady by the name of Lisa Najjar, Neggar, Nejjar, has different classes, things like that. And people were asking her about tarot. So she had me come on. I did a 2 hour tarot class. And I know one of the common questions, and you and I've laughed about this over certain instances. At the end of the class, you're like, it was great. And so when I opened it up for questions, one of the ladies said, how many cards do I have to pull, you know, for this type of reading? And I know in my mind, it's what you said. It's the intention, because you and I both get away from, we stay with certain rituals, and there's practical, you know, kind of like Hierophant would tell you to do. There's tradition, but then it's you, it's individualized. What do you think on that?
I usually start with a 3 card flip, usually. And then from there, it's as many cards as it takes. I
Okay.
will flip, I can flip through a whole deck. I'll grab another deck and, you know, start clarifying and reading and going back and forth between decks. It just depends. It depends on the information. Sometimes, and you know this, you'll flip over cards and you'll be like, I don't even understand what this means, you know, like, what are you trying to say to me? So you grab the other deck and you're like, all right, maybe we can clarify this. And, you know, and of course, the universe being what it is, you flip over like the same 3 cards, or you flip over, you're like, no, this is not clear. Clarifying the cards with the same cards that I don't understand does not help. I need better help. Um, but yeah, I mean, I've run through half a deck just in a 15-minute read, especially at like one of those conventions where, you know, like a psychic fair or something, because I'll just keep flipping, especially if if the person reading for it doesn't look like they're picking up what I'm putting down. So for me to go ahead and clarify it a little more and a little more, I have just scooped up an entire pile of cards, reshuffled, and started all over again, because what they said they wanted really wasn't what they were asking for.
Right.
and and so the cards were answering one, but they really wanted information for question two, which was never, you know what I mean? So we just, you know, it just depends. And
Yeah.
then there are people that I've sat down with, thrown 3 cards, and been like, all right, I
Yeah. You're
try
all
and try and try and try and try and get more cards out of it to give, you know, and I'm like, well, uh, you know, I can't, that's it. That's all. That's the message I'm getting. And,
the
you
last
know,
show I went to, a lady walked up and she said, how are you going to convince a skeptic? And I said, you're probably talking to the wrong guy, because I'm not going to try to convince you of anything. I
right.
said, so, either you believe or you don't. It's whatever. I said, but, and she started to walk away and something snagged me. That voice, one of my guides, whatever it was, one of her people we kind of wound up into. And I'm like, do me a favor, step around the corner, no charge, not doing anything. And I didn't even sit down. And I grabbed my cards. 2 cards. She's bawling like a two. She's bawling like a baby. The shadow card and light card. And I'm like, who hurt you?
Right.
And why is this carrying on so hard in your life? And now she's going to call me, and I'm fixing to become her coach, because she said, all the years I've been talking to people about this, you're the first person that picked up on I've been hurt and I'm not letting it go. And I'm like, well, that's so it's your energy, it's there. And that's what I want people to understand, is there is no set way. And it's funny that you said that, because I showed this young lady exactly what I do, which generally start with either a 3 or 5 card spread, and just said with no, each slot doesn't have to mean anything, it's
Right.
what are the cards got to say? And then I might even look at it. And it's funny because one of the guys who's great guy who's helped me produce the show, he's like, can you read the cards and keep it kind of flowing in more of a conversational manner? I'm like, you don't get it. Because when I lay these cards out, sometimes I got to take a minute and go, what the hell?
Right. Like, what is
Tell
this?
me.
And I mean, what am I even looking at? Because,
Yeah,
I mean, you don't know. We have to go in with zero expectation, right? So you have, in any given moment, have no idea what's going to come up. And then, sometimes you're looking at stuff and it's like, it's like, how am I going to tell this person this thing?
right.
Like, I was sitting for one lady and I had to tell her that, you know, there was somebody else in the picture, and so I'm sitting there and it's a complete stranger, and I'm like, boy, are you in a relationship? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, are you guys happy? She's like, oh yeah, very happy. I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm thinking in the back of my head, like, well, you're fixing that to be, because I don't know who this is, but and I,
Right.
and I don't know if it's you or if it's your partner or what, but this person is here,
Right.
and I don't think this is what you want. This isn't what you wanted me to know about. But when you sit down, and people beware, when you sit down and you say to your tarot reader, you don't have a specific question, and you say, let's just see what the cards say.
Woo!
Everything is fair game
Yeah.
when you say that. And so, as a
Because spirit
reader,
conscious what will tell you what it thinks is the most important thing you need to
right?
know.
And as a reader, we're like, well, shoot, I didn't want to know about that, and now what's the best way for me to articulate this to you without being like, you know, you stepping up, yeah, or whatever, or somebody's stealing from you, or
Yeah.
somebody's being misrepresenting themselves, or somebody's doing something, or this or that. You don't want to tell people those things, but it's not always rainbows and unicorns, as we
No,
say.
it's not. And you bring up a good point, and I would very much like to caution people that are getting a reading, whether you take it seriously or not, be careful about doing these. I do group readings, I go and do galleries, things like that, or whatnot. And you have to be very careful because somebody else's energy could really be focusing in. So you might be sitting next to your best friend. And I've seen this happen where the cards are coming up and she's like, I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm looking at the best friend and she's like, yeah. And when they would slip away, I'd look, was that for you? And she's like, yeah, that was all about me. You need to let her know I'm not an idiot, you know, because that's it. And like when we go to a pendulum rack at a juju store, you and I
That's
cannot
very
walk
funny.
up to the pendulum rack at the same time.
Yeah,
You
they're like
know,
banging into each other. They're going wild.
it's funny. So let me ask you this, and I'm trying to figure out how to do this real quick. Um, we talked about a 3-card reading. I'm going to bring my cards up right here so people can see it. Let's just ask what people need to know for the upcoming week. What do you think?
Sure.
And we'll do 3 cards. And I'll do a card, you do a card, I'll do a card. You want to do it that way?
Sure. Whatever works for you.
Yeah.
I am open to doing
All right.
whatever.
I'm going to let people see what I'm shuffling. So we're just going to ask, what the spirit, and this is what Bridget was getting at, everybody. You got to be explicit with your question. Okay. So, because if you just let it fly, remember, we're talking to thousands of people here. So, what I want you to understand is, so we are just going to ask the question for the purpose of this reading at this moment in time. no matter when anybody's watching this, what would the message be that the tribe, anybody watching, needs to know? What do you think? Does that work for you?
Sure.
Okay, let's start there. And I'm going to shuffle on camera so people can see we don't have all this all set up and stuff. And oh, by the way, I am using the Archangel Tower Tarot Cards by Radley Valentine. I try to use different decks all the time, and that way people can see what's going on. This deck was not meant to be read in reverse, so I will not read reversals, but we're going to keep that question in mind, kind of settle in, and, you know, away we go. So I think this is going to be fun. I love it when we do these kind of things. Guess who's in the house with Brigitte right now?
Of course.
Of course, Raphael. You want to explain Raphael to everybody? Archangel Raphael.
What Raphael means to me, or Raphael in general?
What Raphael means to you? Why we're laughing about
it? Archangel Raphael is one of my guides. Has been for as long as I've been guiding. And it's very funny. Rob laughs because anytime we do something together with the Archangel cards, the first card to come up usually is Raphael, because he's my main man. He's my main squeeze. He's the healing angel. He heals. So that card represents cups right there for anybody who's wondering. And he is he just guides me down my path, because I do Reiki too.
I do a reading with these cards without it coming up with me, without Raphael poking his head in.
Absolutely.
Any time now, especially as things progress with me, I keep expecting to see a face just kind of loom over your shoulder, grinning, like, yeah, you got it, But for those watching and those listening on the podcast, this is the 10 of Raphael. 10 of Raphael, as Bridget said, is a 10 of cups. So this message starts out with, and it might change as the cards come up, and that's what Bridget and I were talking about. It's like my wife would say, you're up for the Hollywood ending. Things are getting good. Things are coming to an end, but they're going to come to an end in a very nice way. It's very harmony, and, some very good things are fixing to happen, or something you've really been working towards is going to come to an end and accumulate, come into fulfillment. So that's where we start. Where are you at, Bridget?
Let me hold on, and I'll tell you. So I'm using the Fairy Tarot, which is another. Well, this one was the one I have is very old. It's one of my first decks, and you can't see it because it's green, and gotta love green screen. So it's the Ace of Autumn. Autumn is Pentacles. So maybe we've got some good financial juju coming. Lord knows we all need it, right?
Yes.
But this is also by Doreen Virtue and Radley Valentine. If you look for it now, it'll only have Radley Valentine's name on it.
Okay.
But
and what's funny, we didn't even talk. We didn't say, I'm going to use this deck. You're going to use that deck. I asked you what deck you picked, and here we both are with, this crazy stuff. So things are meant to be. My second card is the Epiphany. It is the Archangel Raziel. And this would be equivalent to the Hermit. And I love what it says. Joy through spiritual growth. Be a light to others. Answers that come through meditation. And one of the things I always see with this card is maybe it's time to separate yourself a little bit, follow your own path, and look at what's working for you, and be individualized about it. That's going to be important to get this thing across as it's coming across the finish line. Where are you at?
I'm still shuffling. Give me just a second. We're not ready yet. Here we go. So I've got the Two of Swords, right? Ooh. The Two of Winter. So yeah, I mean,
gotta make a decision.
There's a decision to be made. I wish that I didn't have such a terrible glare. I apologize, guys.
That's all right.
but maybe that kicks off your hermit, right? You got to
Yeah.
go in, go inside, make that decision. You got to make that choice. And guys, not making a choice is a choice too.
You are
So,
exactly right. You are
so just
exactly right. I
just
want to
so you
repeat
know.
that for everybody. Not making a decision is making a decision to not make a decision. So that's where you go. A decision is a decision. You know, then I've got 7 of Ariel. Okay. This would be equivalent 7 of Pentacles. And a lot of times, what I'm seeing here in this reading is this is where a whole accumulation of reading can come. The 7 is stop working so hard. You've done a lot of the work. Sit back and maybe let spirit take its own course. Maybe you need to watch so you can see where to go. I know the other day I did a shout out for Aries because Aries, they're known to be that ready, fire, aim, type of thing. And it was coming through really hard. Slow down. You're going to make emotional decisions. There's direction coming, things like that. And this is kind of what I see here. So when I look at these 3 cards, whenever anybody's looking at this, you need to understand there's some great things that are going to come into abundance for you. You're going to be able to do it, but you got to walk your own path. You can't keep following everybody, and you can't ram it home. This is a time to sit back, listen, and be still and watch and look for the direction you're getting. So, and what have you got for your final card?
Well, I had 3 fall out. So it was the 4 of Summer, which is obviously the 4 of Cups, right? And it's you're like distracted, right? It's a distraction. Whatever's happening here is a distraction. And so, I think this goes with your Hermit and your 7 of Coins or Pentacles. Take that step back and and my 2 of Swords, like, let's just sit back, take a beat, and figure it out, right? Like just take some time to think about it instead of running through. But your 10 of Pentacles really, or 10 of Cups, I mean, in the context of my whole reading, or this whole reading that we're doing collaboratively, also says to me things are okay, like things are good, so stop trying to make them worse than what they really are. That's kind of where I'm at with that. And then, the next one is the 9 of Pentacles, which again is confirmation, right?
Yep.
Things are good. Things are going good. You're coming up to the end of the cycle, but it doesn't mean all is lost, right? That's kind of what I'm seeing with the collaborative reading for me. And then the third card is the High Priestess. So you gotta trust yourself. You gotta trust your intuition. You have to understand that you not everything is meant for you to see right now. So
Right.
you've gotta feel your way through it. And at least that's my thought process. You gotta feel your way through things, and your gut is gonna tell you, it's gonna feel good or it's not gonna feel good.
Right.
And steer you in the directions that you need to go. But for me, I'm seeing, just things are good, and you're coming to an end of a cycle. We're all coming to the end of a cycle. It doesn't mean they're going to get bad. It means that we just are going to start off on something, a new adventure, a new thing that, and just follow your gut and trust yourself.
Yeah. All right. Bridget, www.eyesofthedragonfly.com. Y'all check it out. Bridget does a great job with reading, and we read a lot of stuff. She's going to tell you what comes in without all the airy fairy stuff. We have both tried the airy fairy, and our sarcastic natures, it don't work. Okay, it doesn't work. But this is the lady I turn to when I need a reading. A lot of times I won't even turn to my wife. I will turn to Brigitte. We're all very close, so don't get any crazy ideas. But Bridget wouldn't be as attached to the outcome as my wife would be. Okay. And my wife will be sometimes too gentle because Bridget will tell you my wife is just an angel in disguise. Okay. And the old Rev here sometimes need to hear, hey, you're being an idiot. You know, pull your head out of your butt. You know, and Bridget will say that and we'll be like, okay. You know, so I want to say thank you very much. This is good. We're going to have some more. We're going to come back in. I really want to talk about the spreads, the falling cards, and things like that. I think people will really like it, especially the people that are new to tarot. So I really want to thank you. And I'm telling everybody here, hang tight. Don't go away because I'm fixing to do a reading for the whole group. Bangarang!
Bye.
All right, everybody. Wasn't that fun? I love Bridget and just don't know what I'd do without her. I appreciate her all the time. Give her a call. Look her up. See what happens. Everything will be in the description below, but you can reach her through www.eyesofthedragonfly.com. Make sure you check that out. Now, let's take a look at doing another quick reading for the tribe. We're going to say, hey, let's find out what you need to know right now at this very minute. What do you need to know and understand right now? So, y'all can see me shuffling. Here we go. I'm going to bring this up. Give me just a second. And a little switcheroo there. And here we go. So, I'm going to cut the deck. And let's see where this starts. All right. So we're starting with the Empress. The Empress is here, and this is the Archangel Gabriel. Time to act upon your plans. Think about that right now. The Two of Michael is here. Remember where Bridget had the Two of Swords. Two of Michael would be equivalent to the Two of Swords. I'm trying to make sure that we get this clear. Hold on. I'm going to remove it and bring it back. Let's see what happens if we can't get this camera started. All right, but, well, there it is. Two of Michael. Let's see what's happening. All right, don't know why that's being so fuzzy. All right, finally, one of the last cards we're going to look at here is the Nine of Ariel. So when I'm looking at these three cards together, Nine of Ariel, your dreams are fulfilled. All right, wow, think about that. Ariel being the pentacle, things like that. What's going on? Hard work leads to great success. So what you need to understand is now is the time to act. Now is the time to look at what you need to do. Take the message from earlier. Look about it. You know, whoa, slow down. There is a message, but you're going to have to make a decision. The Two of Michael talks about that. This is Michael the Archangel. It will be better if you make a decision. Over analyzing a problem. Find a compromise. So you can't just sit there forever and not make a decision. This will come true if you make a decision and you act. And one of the beautiful things about these cards that I'm getting here right now, man, some beautiful things coming to fruition for you with the Nine of Raphael. Make a wish, dreams become reality. That's what you need to know right here, right now, from Tarot with an Attitude. I'm the Reverend Rob. Please smash that like button, hit the subscribe, ring the bell. Welcome to Barefoot Bangarang Tribe. Also, coming up this week, we got the quarter moon, so look for something about that. I'm going to be doing something on it so you understand it seems to get uncelebrated, but there's a lot happening with that quarter moon. Not a half moon, it's a quarter moon. Looks like a half moon, but it's not. We'll explain. Look forward to that. Ring that bell so you can find out what's coming on and what you need to do and what steps you need to take for that. All right, everybody? Take what you want. Leave what you don't. But for anything, please leave having experienced a little peace, love, and light. Bangarang! This is Tarot with an Attitude, featuring your host, tarot consultant and spiritual medium, the Reverend Rob Lee.